What's up, everybody? This is Brody from the Duel of the Ranks crew, coming at you again with another Star Wars review. This week, we're reviewing the Book of Boba Fett, Chapter 3, The Streets of Mos Espa. Now, when watching this episode, we loved seeing how Boba Fett is slowly building up his forces. He started alone in the desert with nothing, and we've seen him add Fennec Shand, the Gamorrean guards, and now this biker gang, aka the Space Vespa gang, as I'm sure you've heard them be called. Now, as he's getting older, and thus weaker, especially with his injuries ailing him, he's not going to be able to fight his way out of trouble as much as he used to. So seeing him grow his forces is an absolute must if he wants to establish himself as a true crime lord. Now, what once was a greedy bounty hunter, each episode we're seeing how he cares about the needs of the many over the needs of the few. While the local business leaders and the wealthy are expecting Boba to rule with greed like his former employer, Boba instead sees the issues, like the price of water, and forces them to adjust their pricing to take care of the citizens in the area. Now, after his time with the Tuskens, Boba understands that for a civilization to flourish, there needs to be a common mutual respect for one another, and that personal greed can really hinder the overall success of a group or society. Now, through this, he's able to grow his allies and people who are willing to fight for him, which is coming in clutch time and time again, especially in these last 3 episodes. Another thing we loved is seeing how the economy of Tatooine works. We're first introduced to the water merchant who's overcharging consumers with astronomical prices. So a biker gang decides to take it upon themselves to steal this water, and even if they wanted to pay for it, jobs are so scarce in that area that they couldn't even land a job if they tried. So Boba Fett employs them to be his ears on the street and extra muscle. However, this comes at the risk of the water merchant being unhappy with Boba's leadership, and he could even then spread negative words to other business leaders in the community, which could further that disrespect that Boba's been receiving thus far. Now, while predictable, the fate of the Tusken Raiders was still so sad, and only furthered your dislike for that biker gang known as the Kintan Striders, who killed them all. Now, because the Pikes are only going to offer protection for one group, it makes you really look forward to see how Boba is going to take out this biker gang to avenge his new family, but also offer protection for other Tuskens from different regions. Now, the fact that the Pikes are the main villain feels great for fans who followed the Clone Wars and know more about their history. It makes sense why they'd run spies through Tatooine and why they'd want to fill the void that Jabba left. It'll be fun to see how they display the battle between the two crime factions and how Boba will absolutely run them out of town to hold his claim as daimyo of Tatooine. Seeing Black Chrysanthemum being overpowered was another awesome part of this episode. His fight scene with Boba was fantastic. Furthermore, the fact that Boba spared his life might prove to make a new ally for him before the end of the show. Now, with all these things we loved, there were a few things that made us scratch our heads. If Black Chrysanthemum was sent to kill Boba Fett, why didn't he just blast him while sleeping? Why did he really need to engage in hand-to-hand combat with a half-naked guy? Also, how was he able to sneak by Jabba's palace so easily? Another thing we didn't really care for was the speeder chase. It felt slow, and it also felt like a chase scene we've seen in a million other movies. Now, another thing that we scratched our heads with, when are we going to see more of Boba Fett being awesome like we did in The Mandalorian? We saw it there, and we've been teased about it ever since. We're halfway through the season, and we could have easily included more amazing moments of him and his gear being the awesome clone of Jango Fett that we all know and love. Lastly, many of the characters feel shoehorned, and they feel very cookie-cutter in this overall story. For example, we're 3 episodes in, and we've hardly seen any Fennec Shand. With such little story left, we wondered to ourselves how much we're even going to get of her in this series. Now, overall, this story felt like a lot of fun. However, it didn't really deliver any real substance. We see that Boba plans on leading by being a man of the people instead of a man of the wealthy, and how this change in character is drastically affecting the local economic and political landscape. Now, while this forces meaningful thought, the show hasn't seemed to go deep enough with its own characters to get you to really care about their development, excluding that of Boba Fett. Now, overall, the Book of Boba Fett has felt very paint by the numbers, taken from storylines we've seen many times before, and while posing deep, thought-provoking questions, it never does so in a way that feels unique to its own story, and instead, doing it in a way that the writers know it'll succeed, as it has many times before in American cinema. But hey, maybe we're in for a huge plot twist down the road, and we have no idea what we're actually talking about over here. That said, we're still really enjoying the Book of Boba Fett for what it is, and eagerly are waiting to see what they do with the characters and the story in upcoming episodes. Now, if you liked this episode of Duel of the Ranks in our little review here, be sure to give us a like or subscribe. And if you want to check out the full review, this is a short little overview video. Every Thursday night at 7 o'clock Central, we actually go live and film our podcasts, which go out the next morning. So every Friday, we're going to be having our full breakdown of each episode as we go through all pieces of Star Wars content. So be sure to check it out. So yeah, in the meantime, thanks so much, and we look forward to seeing you again in the next video.